was 1:38 a.m. when Daniel Carter realized he was completely alone on the highway. The road stretched endlessly ahead of him, a thin gray ribbon cutting through dense forest on both sides. His headlights were the only light for miles. No traffic, no street lamps, no signs of civilization, just asphalt, trees, and silence. Daniel was a delivery driver used to late-night routes. He had driven this highway dozens of times before. State Route 19, a lonely stretch connecting two small towns. Locals avoided it after midnight. Daniel never believed in local warnings. That night he would regret it. The radio crackled softly, switching between static and low-volume music. Daniel tapped the dashboard, annoyed. "Come on," he muttered. That's when he noticed something strange. The temperature inside the car suddenly dropped. Not gradually. Instantly. Daniel glanced at the dashboard. The heater was still on. Windows closed. Yet his breath fogged slightly in front of him. He laughed nervously. "Great, car problems," he said. Then his headlights revealed a figure standing on the shoulder of the road. A man, tall, thin, standing perfectly still. Daniel slowed down instinctively. The man wore dark clothing, too dark. His face was pale, unnaturally pale, like it reflected more light than it should. He wasn't waving for help. He wasn't moving at all. Just staring. As Daniel drove past, their eyes met, and Daniel felt something he couldn't explain. Not fear. Recognition. As if the man knew him, as if he had been waiting. Daniel checked his rearview mirror. The man was gone. No footsteps. No movement, no sound. Just empty road. His heart pounded. "Okay, that's creepy," he whispered. He pressed the accelerator. That's when the GPS spoke. "In 1 mile, slow down." Daniel frowned. "There's nothing here," he said. The GPS screen flickered, then displayed text that made his blood run cold. "Mile marker 47. Daniel slammed the brakes. The car screeched to a halt, right in front of the same man. The man was now standing in the middle of the road. Closer, too close. Daniel's headlights illuminated every detail of his face. His eyes were wide open, unblinking. Black veins ran across his pale skin like cracks in porcelain. His mouth was open slightly, stretched into something that wasn't a smile. Daniel tried to reverse. The engine stalled. The radio exploded into static. The man took 1 step forward. Daniel locked the doors. "Stay back," he shouted. The man didn't react. Instead, he raised 1 finger and pointed, not at Daniel, at the back seat. Daniel froze. Slowly, he turned his head. The back seat was empty, but the windows began to fog. From the inside, a handprint appeared, pressed hard against the glass. Daniel screamed. The engine roared back to life. He floored the accelerator, swerving past the man, barely missing him. As he sped away, he looked in the mirror. The man was smiling now, and he was waving. Daniel didn't stop driving for 2 hours. He didn't slow down. He didn't look back again. When he finally reached the next town, he pulled into a gas station, shaking uncontrollably. The cashier stared at him. "You okay, man?" she asked. Daniel nodded weakly. "I saw someone on Route 19, he said. "Near mile marker 47. The cashier's face went pale. She leaned closer. "Did he point at your car?" Daniel's stomach dropped. "How did you—" She interrupted him. "Did he point at the back seat?" Daniel couldn't speak. She whispered, "You're lucky." She explained what locals never put on maps. 10 years earlier, a bus crashed near mile marker 47. Late at night. Killed instantly. One survivor claimed a man stood in the road before the crash, pointing, smiling. After that, drivers began reporting sightings. Anyone who stopped never made it home. Daniel quit his job the next day. He sold his car, and to this day, he refuses to answer one question. Because every time someone asks, "What was in your back seat?" Daniel starts shaking and says, "I don't want to know. Some highways are dangerous because of speed. Others are dangerous because of isolation. But there are a few highways where danger waits patiently, watching." And tonight's second story is about a man whose job was to protect people on those roads. A highway patrol officer, trained, armed, experienced, and still completely powerless. Officer Mark Reynolds had worked the night shift for 11 years. He had seen everything: fatal crashes, drunk drivers, abandoned vehicles, bodies pulled from wreckage, Fear wasn't something he felt anymore, at least not until that night. It was 2:11 a.m. when the radio crackled to life. Unit 17, report of a stalled vehicle on Highway 66. No response from driver. Mark sighed. Highway 66 was infamous, a long, desolate stretch cutting through desert land. No streetlights. No buildings. Just darkness and wind. Locals avoided it after midnight. Dispatch never explained why. Mark grabbed his flashlight and replied, Unit 17 en route. As he drove, the temperature outside dropped sharply. The desert wind died. Even the night felt wrong. Mark noticed something else. No animals. No insects. No sound except his engine. His patrol car headlights revealed a sedan parked on the shoulder up ahead. Hazard lights blinking. Perfectly timed. Too perfect. Mark pulled in behind the vehicle. Dispatch, I've located the car, he said. No response. He frowned and repeated the call. Only static answered. Mark stepped out of the patrol car. The air smelled metallic, like rust or blood. He approached the sedan cautiously. The driver's side window was rolled down. The car was empty. No keys in the ignition. No purse, no phone. But the engine was still warm. Mark felt a chill crawl up his spine. Hello? He called out. His voice echoed strangely, like it was being swallowed by the dark. Then he noticed the footprints. Bare feet, leading away from the car, straight into the desert. Mark radioed again. Dispatch, vehicle is abandoned. Requesting backup. Still nothing. The footprints didn't look right. They were deep. Too deep. As if whoever made them had been standing still for a long time. Pressing down, Mark followed the prints with his flashlight. After about 30 yards, they stopped abruptly. No sign of turning back. No disturbance. Just ended. Mark swallowed hard. That's when he heard breathing. Not behind him. Right next to his ear. He spun around, gun raised. Police, show yourself. Nothing. But his flashlight flickered. Then revealed something standing in front of him. A woman. Barefoot. Her hair covered her face. She was wearing a torn white dress, stained dark at the bottom. She stood unnaturally still. Ma'am, Mark said carefully, are you okay? The woman slowly lifted her head. Her eyes were completely black. Mark stumbled backward. What happened to you? He asked. Her mouth opened. But instead of words, police radio chatter came out. Mark's own voice. Unit 17 en route. His blood turned to ice. The woman tilted her head and smiled. Mark fired. The shot echoed down the highway. The woman vanished. Just gone. Mark stood frozen, heart racing, ears ringing. Dispatch! He screamed into the radio. I need backup now. This time, dispatch responded. Unit 17, what's your emergency? Mark ran back to his patrol car. I encountered a suspect, female, possibly hallucination. He stopped. There was writing on the hood of his car. Carved into the metal. Deep. 4 words. You should not stop. Mark didn't wait. He jumped into the driver's seat and floored it. As the car sped away, the radio came alive again. Officer Reynolds. Why did you stop? It wasn't dispatch. It was the woman's voice. Coming from every speaker. Mark slammed the radio off. The dashboard lights began to flicker. Then the headlights went out. The highway disappeared. Pitch black. Mark couldn't see anything. Except headlights. Coming toward him. On his side of the road. He swerved. The patrol car spun. Metal screamed against asphalt. Everything went dark. At 6:42 a.m., another patrol unit found Mark's car overturned off Highway 66. No skid marks. No sign of another vehicle. Mark Reynolds was found alive. Barely. He kept repeating the same sentence. Over and over. She was already dead. She was already dead. At the hospital, Mark finally spoke. He said the woman told him something just before the crash. Something she whispered through the radio. This road doesn't need help. Mark resigned 3 days later. He refused counseling, refused interviews, refused to ever explain one detail. But there was one thing doctors couldn't explain. Carved faintly into Mark's forearm, as if etched from the inside, were the same 4 words. There is an unspoken rule among night drivers. Never pick up hitchhikers, not because they are dangerous, but because some of them are not meant to be alive. This story comes from a man who broke that rule once and paid for it in a way he still doesn't understand. It was raining when Alex Turner saw her. Heavy rain, the kind that turns the highway into a mirror and swallows sound. Alex was driving home from a late shift, traveling alone on Highway 12, a narrow road, winding through hills and forest. No towns, no gas stations, no phone signal, just wet asphalt and darkness. That's when his headlights caught movement ahead. A figure, standing on the side of the road. A woman, wearing a long gray coat. She was holding her arm out. Hitchhiking. Alex slowed down. Every instinct told him not to stop. But she looked young, cold, alone in the rain. He pulled over. The woman approached the passenger side. Her face was pale, lips slightly blue, eyes downcast. "Thank you," she said softly. "I've been waiting a long time." Her voice sent a chill through him. "Where are you headed?" Alex asked. "Just down the road," she replied. She opened the passenger door and sat inside. The smell of damp earth filled the car. Alex pulled back onto the highway. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "I missed my ride," she said. He said he'd come back. Alex glanced at her. Something about her posture felt wrong. Too still, too stiff. After a few minutes, Alex noticed the temperature inside the car dropping. The windows began to fog, even though the heater was on full. He glanced at the woman again. She was staring straight ahead, not blinking, not breathing. You cold?" Alex asked. She turned her head toward him, very slowly. Her eyes looked hollow. "He never came back," she whispered. Alex swallowed. "Who?" "The driver," she said. He said he'd help. A sudden sharp pain shot through Alex's chest. Anxiety flooded his body. The car radio turned on by itself. Static, then a voice. Faint. Distant. Vehicle reported missing. Alex tried to turn it off. The knob wouldn't move. The woman's reflection appeared in the passenger window. But something was wrong. Her reflection was not sitting. It was standing. Outside the car, Alex slammed the brakes. The car skidded to a stop. "What the hell?" he gasped. The woman turned to him. Her face was inches away now. Her eyes were no longer hollow. They were filled with something dark, something deep. "You stopped," she said calmly. "You weren't supposed to," Alex screamed. The headlights flickered, and suddenly, the passenger seat was empty. The door was still closed. The rain continued falling. Alex sat frozen, shaking. Had he imagined everything? Then he noticed the seatbelt, still buckled and soaking wet. He drove away, faster than he ever had before. After several minutes, his phone buzzed. Signal. A notification appeared. Local news alert. Body of young woman found along Highway 12. Victim believed to have died 3 hours earlier, after being struck by a vehicle that fled the scene. Alex's hands trembled. The article included a photo. A woman in a gray coat. Alex pulled over and vomited. He scrolled down. One sentence made his blood freeze. Witnesses say the victim was last seen hitchhiking, waiting for help that never came. Alex never told the police. He never told anyone. But sometimes, on rainy nights, when he drives alone, he feels the passenger seat sink slightly, and hears a whisper. "You stopped." Some roads exist on maps. Others exist only at certain times. And a few should never be driven on at all. This final story is about a highway that does not appear during the day. A highway that has no name, and only shows itself for exactly 1 minute each night. At 3:17 a.m., Ethan Brooks was a night shift rideshare driver. He didn't believe in paranormal stories. He believed in algorithms, maps, and money. Until one night, his GPS sent him somewhere that didn't exist. It was 3:12 a.m. when Ethan accepted the ride. Pickup location, unlisted road. Destination, unavailable. He frowned. That had never happened before. But the fare was unusually high. So he accepted. As he drove, the city lights faded. Buildings turned into trees. Road signs disappeared. At exactly 3:16 a.m., the GPS recalculated. Turn right in 100 feet. Ethan slowed down. There was no road there, just trees. Then, the trees moved, and a highway appeared. Fresh asphalt, bright lane markings. No cracks. No wear, like it had just been built. Ethan checked the clock. 3:17 a.m. His phone buzzed. Passenger message, do not stop. Do not turn around. Ethan's throat went dry. He entered the highway. Instantly, his GPS went silent. The radio turned off. No phone signal. The road stretched endlessly forward. And behind him, there was nothing. The entrance was gone. Ethan noticed something terrifying. There were other cars. Dozens of them. All driving the same speed. All perfectly aligned. No one changed lanes. No one braked. No one signaled. He looked into another car. The driver's face was gray. Eyes hollow. Mouth slightly open. Hands locked on the wheel. Like a corpse being puppeteered. At 3:18 a.m., his dashboard clock glitched. Time stopped. The second hand froze. The cars around him began to slow. One by one, they pulled over. Driver stepped out and stood by the road, facing Ethan. His phone buzzed again. Passenger, they stopped. Passenger, you didn't. Passenger, good. A voice came from the back seat. You're early. Ethan froze. There was no one there. You can still leave, the voice said. But you must not stop. The road ahead began to narrow. The sky darkened. Something massive moved in the distance. Watching. Ethan pressed the accelerator. The speedometer climbed. 80, 90, 110. The road shook. The standing figures turned their heads in unison. Smiling. At 3:19 a.m., the highway began to dissolve. Asphalt turned to mist. Lane lines peeled away. Ethan screamed as his car burst through trees and slammed back onto a normal road. He crashed into a ditch. The engine died. Birds were chirping. Morning light crept through the trees. It was 6:01 a.m. Police found Ethan hours later, alive, traumatized. His dashcam footage was corrupted, except for one frame, timestamped 3:17 a.m. It showed his car, surrounded by dozens of stopped vehicles. With no drivers inside, Ethan quit driving. He deleted every navigation app. But once a year, at exactly 3:17 a.m., his phone vibrates with a single message. You didn't stop. They are places where people disappear, where time bends, where rules change. And if tonight's stories taught you anything, it's this. Never stop on an empty road. Never trust the dark. And never follow a road that appears out of nowhere, because some highways don't lead home.